Hi, everybody. Welcome back. If you're following Dr. Cammy and Karen Go Keto, we're talking with Cammy today because she had what she calls a binge the other day. And we talked about it in the
The other
video
2
just before.
days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 2 days. So we had an earlier video, and now we're going to follow up with like what the day looked like when she had this binge and what she can do or what we can do to support her to not have another one. So what's up, Cammy?
So I don't think that there was anything on Sunday went that caused me to have any issues or tipped me off in any way. I didn't have any conversations with my mother or my sisters or with friends. I had a couple of friends over to sit in the jacuzzi for dinner, and that went great. I chose not to eat because I had eaten earlier in the day and I was doing OMAD, one meal a day on that day. And I wasn't excessively hungry when I went to bed. And so when I woke up on Monday, I was pretty hungry on Monday in the morning. And at 7 o'clock in the morning, I ate my lasagna, my keto lasagna with some nuts and some coffee. And then at lunchtime, I ate some more lasagna with avocado and nuts and carnitas with cheese and a little bit of pork rinds with blue cheese dressing. And I was pretty full at that time. And I was thinking I might be done with my eating for the day. And then I ended up stopping by 7-Eleven and starting my binge.
All right, so did you go to 7-Eleven specifically for that purpose, or were you there for something else?
No, I went specifically for that purpose.
So can you think about why?
Yeah, I'm trying to look at what happened that day because it sounds to me from the story I'm telling that something happened
Sure
between
does.
me
You,
between me
you know,
eating.
you don't do it every day and go, oh, I ate keto, had a good day, and then I decided to go binge. Usually there's some sort of trigger.
Yeah. So I did do some of my we're part of a speaking series, and there was a pod um Zoom meeting that I went to that was that morning from 11 to 12:30, and I felt very inadequate in that meeting. I wasn't prepared. I learned a lot, and it was a great meeting. It was well worth my time, but there were things there that kind of frustrated me a little bit. And then I went for a walk with my sister Carrie up at Double Peak, and that was a lot of fun. We had a nice walk and talked about a lot of things. Her daughter's getting married, and we were talking about her daughter's fiance and what a great guy he was, and talking about relationships. And I don't remember anything bothering me. This is what kind of concerns me about this binge, because the cravings came so strong that I gave in and wasn't able to fend them off. And usually I can tell when that happens. Usually there's an event or there's something that happened. And on this binge, I don't recall or remember anything happening to tip me off.
Now, were there any donuts involved in this binge?
Um, yeah, the next day, day 2.
Okay. So, so it could have been your feelings of inadequacy at the meeting, right? Possibly. Did
Yeah.
you do you remember like anything that happened that made you think about so like what the first visit was the visit to 7-Eleven. So sometime before that you should have you said to yourself, "Oh, I got to go get my car keys so I can drive to 7-Eleven."
Well, I was coming already from walking with Carrie.
Okay, so you said, "Oh, look, I'm just going to stop by the 7-Eleven on my way home so that I can have a binge."
Right.
So I'm guessing that the trigger must have come from your walk with Carrie.
Yeah, it sounds like that timing for it. Or it might have been just feelings of inadequacy during the Zoom meeting, and that I'm not up to doing what I said I was going to do in that group that I'm in.
But you didn't have that feeling right afterwards. You didn't say, "Oh, I'm gonna go get my car keys and go to 7-Eleven right now."
Correct.
Did you have to go see Carrie right after you got out of that meeting?
Um, Fairly quickly because I got out of the meeting at 12:30 and then I was meeting with her at 1:30. So yeah, and it was about a 45-minute drive. So I had to leave fairly quickly.
So I'm thinking it could either be in your brain, you thought, "Oh, when I come back, I can stop at 7-Eleven," if that was what the trigger was, or perhaps the trigger actually was the Carrie incident. So, and instead of saying her name all the time, how about we just talk about when you went on your walk, or say your sister. So because in typical fashion, you could have said, "Oh, hell, I got 5 minutes. I can go to 7-Eleven, grab the Skittles and whatever, and the peanut butter M&Ms, and put those in the car on the side of the car or the passenger seat. And as you drove to Carrie's, you could have eaten those if you really had that sugar craving at that time, right?"
Correct. And I didn't do that. So I think there is something that tipped me off during that walk because after the walk, I went immediately.
Was it the 7-Eleven that you always go to, or is it one somewhere else?
It was the one I always go to by my house.
Okay. So you didn't go to any other ones. You waited until you got at least to your house. All right.
Correct.
So that was day 1, and what happened on day 2?
So, the other thing I wanted to mention about day one was that I was extremely tired because I had been up late talking on the phone, starting the dating scene and making plans to have a coffee date with a man. And so I was very, very tired. I remember that day being very tired. And I went to push up and sit up class in the morning. And then I thought, why did I schedule a hike with my sister in the afternoon? So there was a lot of physical demands for that day, and I was tired on top of it, as well as anxious and nervous. So that was probably contributing factors. So the
All
next
right.
day, I had a small piece of pizza left over from the night before, and I ate that. And I was planning to eat it the night before for breakfast the next morning. And then I had some carnitas meat with cheese. And then I was going to go get my massage, but before I went to my massage, I went to a donut shop and ate 3 donuts. I ate a croissant and 2 donuts and some milk and some coffee. And then I went to my massage and was like miserable laying on my tummy while I did my massage. But that didn't deter me from stopping by after my massage to get Skittles, Doritos, and 2 Celsius drinks. And then I came home and ate those actually while I was talking to my counselor on Zoom in front of her, which is the first time that I've ever been eating like that in front of somebody. I always do it alone.
And what
So
kind
I
of
thought that was interesting.
yeah, and what kind of counselor is she?
This is my grief and trauma counselor, basically,
Okay.
where we do EMDR and we do family systems analysis and looking at those kinds of things. She's very
And
accepting and loving of me. And
did you share with her that you were eating food that was not on your food plan?
yes,
And did she support you in what you're up to?
well, she just said, okay, I understand.
All right. So you'll never get that from me because I don't understand it. So,
I
um,
gotcha. I know you
I'm
don't
just
understand a lot of my binge eating behavior.
no, I understand the binge eating behavior. I don't understand how you consider people I don't consider how you consider people who support you to be people who actually encourage you or don't try to stop you from doing something. Like if you were a cutter and I saw you with a razor blade in your hand, I would say, "Cammy, please don't cut yourself with the razor blade in your hand, or please talk to somebody." or please put the razor blade down, right? I wouldn't have a conversation with you trying to coach you while you were cutting. I consider that to be very discordant in producing positive results, right?
Well, I think that the counselor felt that she was loving me unconditionally and as I am. And I started the meeting by saying, I'm in the middle of a binge and I'm finishing off these chips and then I'm going to be done.
Yeah, but aren't you up to not eating chips? Isn't
Not
that
at
what
that
you say?
moment.
Isn't that what you say you're up to?
Well, yes,
Okay. Then
usually, but in that moment, I was not.
then I would
In that
say
moment, I was eating chips.
but I would then say the appropriate response for somebody who supports you is don't do it. Just put the rest of them. If you're up to not eating chips, then just put the chips in the garbage. How many times have I asked you to put food in the garbage?
More than once.
So
Yeah, but she said, I can't remember the words that were exchanged. She did offer to she said, I think she said something like, "Is that something you need to be doing? Or is that something you need to do?"
so just so you know, I love you unconditionally. If you want to gain another 100 pounds, feel free. I will still love you. But if you tell me what you're up to is not eating chips, I'm not going to let you eat chips in front of me. Do you remember when I had the Diet Coke the other day and you said, Karen, you're drinking a Diet Coke? Do
Mhm.
you remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah. So you called me on it, and I think I finished it right when
you
you said
did.
that.
You did.
I said, that's it. So we have things in place. What are the tools we have in place so that you don't, so that people, so that we recommend to each other to not binge? And what could you have done differently or better so that it doesn't happen again?
One is get to bed on time. Give myself plenty of rest. Two is to look at my schedule better and be sure that I don't do things like schedule a hike with my sister up a mountain I've never been on before on
Yeah,
the
but
same day that I'm
you could have
doing my sit-ups and my push-up class.
you could have even canceled that with her though.
Yeah, but well, it's a long story.
Okay,
We worked hard to get it scheduled, and so
gotcha.
it would
Gotcha.
have not been good to cancel. And I wanted to do it too. Um, so as I'm driving, as I'm sometimes things can be stopped as I start to plan the binge because that's when like I start to get the dopamine hits and the whole thing starts going before I even get the food into my system. When I know that I'm going to go down there and I'm anticipating what's going to happen.
I
Um,
just want to point out while you say this, Cammy, this to me looks like you're changing your food plan, right? Let's call binging a change of food plan, right?
okay,
Because you are making a plan now, and
right,
it is involving food.
correct.
Okay, so go on.
So there's a change in the well, in order to change the plan, you have to have had an original plan. And I'm not doing a good job of doing food plans. I'm doing a great job of my food diaries and what I do eat, but I'm not doing a good job of planning things out the night before what I'm going to eat.
Okay,
So,
gotcha. So that might be better to
so that
actually.
would be something that probably would be better. Is the night before, think about what I have in the fridge and what's going to be available for me to eat and what my schedule is doing and who I'm going to be with and plan my food out beforehand. I haven't found a good way to document that because the sheets that I have in my book are the sheets that I do eat. And then, so I've made some sheets that sit outside of the book that are what I write because I'm just not to the point yet where I basically eat what I plan the night before. I'll make
So
a
we
plan and then the next day I'll eat something totally different.
okay,
And
so
it'll
we need to create an actual physical structure, piece of paper, outline, or something to give you the space to make your plan the night before.
Right. So what I could do is I have my diary here, my food diary that's in a spiral, and I could
Yeah.
just take a copy of this and staple it on top of this, and then that would the one on top would be what my plan is, and then you would flip it up, and on the bottom would be what I actually ate.
Okay. That might be a good plan.
That might work, because before I had the piece of paper around, but then I would lose it. So
Yeah.
stapling it in here might be the way to go. Or
Or
creating my own
or
journal.
maybe a whole separate journal that would inspire you in a different way, right? Because sometimes there's a different, especially for eating off plan, it's a different feeling, and you don't necessarily want to be reminded of not eating on plan, right? So if you, at least if you have what you're planning on eating in one spot that you always look at, right? Every night you go to it to fill in what's for tomorrow, then and maybe there's nice flowers or something on it, or inspirational statements, affirmations. Then when you don't eat on that plan, at least you don't look at it and go, "Ugh, I'm a failure, I don't want to bother with my food plan anymore," right? So it might work to have it in a separate journal.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead, continue. What else can we do?
Calling somebody, or praying, getting on the phone or praying can be a way for me to try to break that the binge once the planning of it has started. And just
And
trying to make sure that I do self-care in a way that I don't get into trouble with the binging to begin
well,
with. Because this
and
is where when I think back on this one, this is where I was failing. I wasn't sleeping right, and I wasn't, and I was over scheduling my exercise, and, I wasn't going down and sitting in the jacuzzi like I usually do.
what about do you pray before your meals?
Sometimes, not always.
So maybe that's a habit for you to get into, is to do it always and to pray afterwards, because that in itself is an accountability, right?
Yeah,
You might have a different prayer that comes out when you say, "Dear God, thank you for the Skittles." You might say, "Thank you for the Skittles that I'm now going to throw away."
right.
So, okay, so the physical aspect of it is probably something important to work on. What about you said calling people, right? So that would
Mhm.
be good. But you always say when you're in the middle of the binge, you've got it planned, and you're going to be a dog with a bone, like you told your other counselor, "I've got these Doritos and I'm going to eat them." Like, what is it that you could have done differently right then instead of eating the Doritos?
Well, I mean, I can list off things, but I'm in the middle of that binge. It's not going to happen. Nothing else is going to happen.
Okay, so
It's like getting a
okay,
hangnail, and it's
okay,
right there.
but listen to yourself, Cammy. You said if you're in the middle of the binge, you're not going to stop it. But the amount of time that you've gone through from binges has lengthened. So that's a story you're telling yourself. You're not willing to stop it, is what you're telling yourself. So my question to you is, what is it going to take so that you do stop it? Be extraordinary. What's it going to take?
I suppose if I had a heart attack and
No,
survived
but
it,
that's not
I
you.
wouldn't binge
That's
anymore.
involuntary. That's involuntary. I'm talking
Oh, you
about
didn't say voluntary.
well, no, that's something you're going to do. The heart attack is not something you do.
I don't have a
But
good answer for you,
it's
Karen.
funny that you won't be serious about it.
Hey, everything's in order if I go.
Yeah, but we don't want you to go. We just want you to stop the Doritos.
I don't know the answer to how do I stop a binge once it starts and I'm in the middle of it. I've never been able to do that. Well, I shouldn't say
You
never. Maybe
have.
once or twice.
You have.
Maybe once or
And
twice.
I totally get that you. Okay. So you used to deliver babies, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When those babies came out, did you always say, I'm just going to do this delivery like I've done all the other deliveries. I'm going to do it exactly like I've always done the other ones.
No.
Okay. So a baby comes out and its shoulder is stuck, you do something totally different,
Correct.
right? You actually step up to the plate and you go, crap, I got to do something new here. So what does it take for you to step up to the plate and say, I have to do something totally new here?
I think just what comes to mind is just being recommitted to what I'm really up to.
And how are you going to do that if you're in the middle of a binge?
No, this would be pre-binge. I don't know what to do in the middle of a binge. You're not going to get another answer out of me right now.
Well, I
Unless you
think
want to help me think of one, because
well, yeah, I mean, like, why would you resign yourself to not being able to stop it?
because there's a sense of relief. There's a sense of comfort and relief that come with the binge that I'm
All right.
not willing to give up.
Okay,
I'm
so
not
that
willing to sit and be uncomfortable with whatever it is that's going on at the time.
okay, so that means then you have to find another place for comfort and release, or relief, right? So that's the place to work. Now, you do have to find that before you start the binge, right? You have to have it lined up, just like the food plan. But
Yeah.
it could be that you find your comfort in a prayer. It could be you find your comfort in a coloring book. It could be you find your comfort putting your cat on your lap and, being thankful for having, I was going to say another human being, but that just tells you how much of a cat person I am. Another living another living thing that loves you. Um, to give you relief and to give you comfort. So
Well,
what
and
are
that's
the
why I think it's really important that I'm doing all these things, these preemptive strikes before
well,
you get there, because once I get there, it's very, very difficult to get
I
out,
get it. I get it.
even for
It
2 days,
but
plus
there's a
often the third day for a small
but
amount of time.
but do you have your phone in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay, show me your phone. And how hard is it to call me?
Well, it's not hard to call, but
Okay.
you have
Okay.
to answer the
So there you go.
phone. A lot of
So
times you don't
no,
answer the phone.
I don't have to answer the phone. You have to call. You have to call, right? The step that makes it hard for you is the answering the call. See, you're already putting it on me. You're not going to answer the call, so
It's
why should I
very
call
easy
you?
to put it on whoever I call if they don't show up.
Yeah.
There's 3 things that happen at the beginning of a binge, at the very, very beginning of the binge, at the very beginning, when I'm contemplating, before I make the decision.
Okay, so let's call this before you make the plan. There's a story that you tell yourself before you make a new food plan.
All right, you want to talk about it in the next video?
Oh yeah, we should. All right, everybody, we're going to continue the video, the Cammy binge video on another day.
Take
Bye.
care.